Good evening, everybody. How are you? Good, good. Well, thank you so much for having me. Jan Patterson in the back, who reached out to me several weeks ago and asked if I'd be willing to give the baccalaureate address tonight. So, first off, I'd like to congratulate you, Cougars, all of you graduates. It is a real honor and a privilege to share this evening with you. First, I want to start out though by focusing on and thanking all the parents, all of the grandparents, all of our leaders and role models for these students here tonight. I know your hearts are overjoyed and so filled with pride for your sons and daughters and their accomplishments. Not only over the last several years here at high school, but over the last 13 years of school. I know that you are so incredibly proud of your graduate tonight. To our graduates and fellow Cougars here, your parents are prouder of you than I think that you'll ever know. I think it took me a while to realize that. And then I turned 30 and realized that time was going away pretty fast. And you start to look at life a little bit differently. So you made it, right? Almost. You're graduating this Friday, and I know that came with a lot of late nights, a lot of studying, a lot of Mountain Dew and coffee, or I don't know. Did you drink coffee yet? When I turned 30, my coffee habit got really bad. So maybe not. Maybe you haven't reached that yet. But not only that, classmates with no filters, no boundaries. I know how that goes. I was in high school once. And wow, some really interesting and turbulent times, especially over the last couple of years, yeah? You passed all of the tests, right? You passed all the tests. Now you're ready for the semi-real world to greet you with what I would call semi-open arms, because the real world is tough. Whether you're going forward to higher education, maybe moving away to university, starting a job, your time, your education, your teachers here at Southwest have all prepared you for that next chapter. The baccalaureate address, the baccalaureate ceremony is a little bit different than graduation. It's a spiritual, it's a faith-focused event and faith-focused night, which is something that's so important to me. And if you don't mind, I'd like to close out tonight with a prayer for you once we get there. First, I want to talk about change. And that really is the theme of my address here tonight. It's all about change. It's something that's inevitable, right? Change is going to happen. You know it. It's about to happen to you right now. When you walk out of here tonight, you walk across the stage on Friday, change is going to happen, and it's already happened to you. Let me tell you, as a meteorologist, the morning meteorologist for News 2, someone who predicts the future every day, you can't do it. You cannot predict the future. Okay? Hey, I get paid to be right only half of the time. So if you're interested in doing that, maybe you should take up meteorology. No, I'm kidding. But really think about it. We've been given the tools, we've been given the knowledge to predict the future the best that we can. In weather, that's through science, through studies of the atmosphere, how the earth turns. Now we have computers and modeling and a bunch of crazy math equations. And we have a pretty darn good idea of what's going to happen in the short term. Even in the long term, we can get a good sense of what's going to happen down the road and how that setup can sensibly change our weather. I mean, who thought Memorial Day was going to be rainy and cold? I can tell you I've been humbled a lot in this job, several times. Change will humble you. So people want to know why we never got snow that we forecasted for. I don't go to the grocery store when that happens. How many times have you heard about our veterans, World War II veterans, being called the greatest generation? Yeah, raise your hand, right? Several of us have heard that. And while, I really believe that. I really believe that generation was the greatest generation of all time. My grandpa, Papa that we called him, World War II vet, he fought in Battle of the Bulge. You probably read about that in your history studies. The stuff that they went through, the stuff that they battled, I don't think we can even fathom. I don't think we really even have a clear idea of what that was like or what they went through or the sacrifices that they made for our freedom community and the changes that they went through. A lot of them didn't have the option to say, I want to go. They just got called to go. Uncharted territory, not knowing what they were up against, or if they make it out alive, and some did. They embraced change. They had to. They had no choice but to embrace change, right? They had to do it. But they went at it head on and fearless for you and me and for our freedom. And I think that's so important. And my papa would sit and talk about it all the time for hours to you if he really thought that you understood the sacrifice that he and his comrades made and what they went through, if he felt like you really, really were interested in it and really cared about it, he would sit talking for hours about it. I loved talking to him about it. He would show me his medals. He was a double Purple Heart. And he would sit for hours and talk, and what you read in the books, and what they tell you, I just don't think we can really fathom that. But if you didn't seem interested, or he didn't feel like you really understood about it, he wouldn't talk to you 5 minutes about it. He would move on. He thought it was a waste of time. I think they'll always be the greatest generation, but I got to thinking when I was preparing for this tonight, why couldn't you be the next great generation? Why not? Why not? It's so easy now. It's so easy. We have everything at our fingertips. Everything at our fingertips. Think about the internet, right? The internet has changed things in so many ways. When I was in high school, you all had like iPads and laptops and all that stuff. We didn't have that. Pencil and paper. And if you wanted a computer, I had to go sign up for it at the media center. It was a big, big box. Gateway computers. I don't think they make them anymore. The way we're connected now, the internet, it's so easy. But too many people take it for granted. Take advantage of it for the wrong reasons. But you can change that course. I see it every day working in news. People who take advantage of things or go at things the wrong way, use the internet for bad. There's stories every single day on my channel about that. So good. So think about all the changes that you've been through over the last several years, all of us. Really, you're no stranger to change at all. The things you believe in, the things you're passionate about, the causes that you fight for, that you support, use that passion for good. Change the world for the better. I really feel like you could be the next great generation. One of my mentors from college, and now in the professional world too, his name was Dan Valley. And he told me one time, he said, in this business, broadcasting he was talking about, you have to be memorable. Right? It's about being memorable. If I'm boring, my forecast is really bad, nobody's going to watch me. Nobody's going to pay attention, right? So you have to be memorable, but he said be memorable for the right reasons. And man, that has stuck with me. You have to be memorable for the right reasons. I think about it almost every single day before I get on TV or before I'm on the radio. I think about that quote almost every single day. How many people you know or have heard about, you've seen, and you'll never forget them, but why? Right? They're memorable, probably for the wrong reasons. There are so many people memorable for the wrong reasons. So we have to come to change with the right mindset, right? We have to come into it, ready to take it on. So how did I get into being a meteorologist? Well, if you had asked me when I was sitting in that chair right there, this is what I was going to be doing, I would have said, no way, right? No way. I was dead set on graduating high school. I was going to go to vet school at NC State, and I was going to take care of animals for the rest of my life. And I loved broadcasting and radio, so I was going to minor in that, and I thought, well, I don't know, maybe I can have an animal podcast. Everybody's got a podcast now, right? They do podcasts about anything. But I did get into NC State, and I wasn't very good at biology, so that was not going to work. Found that out pretty quickly. App State was my next favorite school. Anybody want to App State? Any Mountaineers? Any Mountaineer alumni? A few? Go Mountaineers. So I got into App. But what was I going to do, right? I realized that veterinary school was not going to be good. My dad was a huge influence on my broadcasting career. I spent several snow days with him, going to the radio station, hang out, or I spent time at your baseball games, your basketball games, your softball games, right here at Southwest. He called them on the radio. It was just for fun. It was a hobby of his. But I found passion in that. So the first thing I did when I got to App was to find a radio station. I fell in love with it. I graduated with my broadcasting degree, and I was set on working in radio. That was it, man. I had made it. I was like, this is the life I made. So I changed course. Pretty good bit. Then I graduated, started working full-time at 2 radio stations that I had grown up and loved. Rock 92 and 107.5 KCL. 2 guys named Chris, if you guys listen to that. And I was living the dream, right? That was it. I was like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Wrong. I love my years in radio, 6 of them to be exact. But the TV bug was really starting to itch me, and I kind of wanted to try it out. So through my time working at the radio station, a close co-worker of mine was really good friends with another guy I worked with here at Chilton. He used to be the chief meteorologist at News 2 years ago. And he would come in from time to time, and I would just kind of shoot the breeze with him. I said, Eric, you got anything over there? Like, give me a shot. Let me come try it. Just fill in when you need somebody. I can go out and, I don't know, I'll report on something. Just give me a mic and a camera and see what happens. So I kind of kept at that for about 6 months to a year. And then finally he said, I got a lot of vacation days, and we need somebody to fill in, so you want to do weather? I said, what? Sure. I don't have a degree or know anything about it, but, fake it till you make it, I guess. And he said, come on. He said, we'll make it look like you know what you're doing. So I went over and made what we call in the broadcast world, we call it a reel or a demo reel. It's just a tape of us doing what we do. And he made all the graphics that you see on TV when you watch the news or watch the weather. We draw those by hand every day. But he made all those for me. He said, look, I've got it set up. I'm going to tell you exactly what to say. We're going to do it until it looks like you've done it all yourself. So I was there for about 2 hours, and I finally got a 2-minute clip that made it look like I knew what I was doing. He told me what to say. I said it. So that sort of got passed around. Long story short, I started going in after that at night after the newscast and working sort of under the radar, no pun intended, to learn about how to make graphics and actually learn a little bit about weather because I knew nothing. And decided then that I was like, you know what? I really like this. And then I was like, oh, I gotta go back to school. I'd already done 4 years. I really didn't want to do it anymore. So I thought about that for a while, and it kept biting at me. And I really think God was telling me, like, hey, this is a huge leap of faith, and this is a big change, but you should go do this. And so I did. I decided to go back to school. So I was working full-time in radio. I was going back to school at Penn State online to get my meteorology degree. And then they started giving me a chance at News 2, and I didn't mess anything up or get us thrown off the air the first time, so they let me come back. And now I've been coming back for 4 years. So I guess it worked out okay. So becoming a meteorologist was not in my plan, even almost up to the point where it happened. But now I can tell you, like, I can see myself doing anything else. Right? I love it. There were several changes that came about for me to do that, to be doing what I'm doing now. So change will come. It will present itself. It will, 100%. The world is changing. My world of broadcasting is changing. I don't think there's anybody in here who really religiously every single day sits down at 5 o'clock and watches the news. Like, we are busy people, right? We have things to do, right? Sports games to go to. There are church services that we have to go to. There are so many things we have to do. We're so busy. Our generation is so busy. Our society is so busy and so demanding. So our world of broadcasting is changing, right? Everybody who's got Netflix or Hulu or anything like YouTube TV, like the way we watch TV is changing. So our world in broadcasting is changing. So whatever you do, you have to be willing to adapt to those changes. You have to learn with it. And I can tell you from experience, every job that you have, every job that you take is going to teach you something about the next job that you're going to have. Whether that's a life lesson, whether that's a skill set that you take to the next, whether that's something about leadership and management and working with people and the public, you will take something from every job with you to the next thing. I promise you that. Even if you change the course of what you're doing. I don't play rock and roll music anymore every day. I tell you about the weather. But there are things that I learned in radio that I take with me to TV. So we are by nature, right? We're creatures of habit. So a lot of times it can take a little prodding for us to get ready to really hone in on making a big move. So you might remember when I first started, I said, faith is a huge part of my life, and it is. And the Bible has so much to say about the goodness of change and God's presence with you every step of the way. So a couple verses that I really like. The first one from Joshua, chapter 1, verse 9. It says, have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you everywhere you go. And then Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1 says, there's a time for everything and a season for everything under the heavens. And there are so many seasons of life. You're about to wrap up one, you're about to start another one. There are so many more to come. Another one of my mentors told me this years ago too, and this has always stuck with me too, that there are three kinds of people in this world, right? There are people that make things happen. There are people who watch things happen. And there are people who sit back and say, oh, what happened? And that is true. So who do you want to be? Who will you be? That is 100% up to you. So I'll leave you with this. You're ambiguous, you're motivated, you're resilient. Your years of education, social interaction, sports, just fun with friends, interrupted, of course, by a huge worldwide pandemic, hardships that we're still learning about, I really probably don't even know yet, but you have bounced back fully from that. Change. Change every day in the year 2020. So carry that with you forever. Change. All right, let's pray. Lord, I thank you for every single one of these graduates, these teachers, these parents here tonight. Lord, as these students go forward into the world and into their next chapters of life, I pray that you'll guide them, protect them, and watch over them. Lord, they leave here and walk across that stage in a week with so much knowledge, so many experiences that have shaped them into the young adults that they are now. And with the mindset and skill set to make this world a better place. I pray that whatever path they take, Lord, that it will glorify you and glorify your kingdom. Lord, as we all go from this place tonight, watch over us, keep us safe. Lord, lead us, guide us, and direct us, and we will certainly give you the praise for it. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you.